So, good evening, everybody, and it's great to be back on the think tank. And I'm joined by Alok Karnik tonight, or this
Oh,
afternoon, this morning, depending where you are. So, Alok, you're in Chicago. So, what time is it there?
Chicago, it is noon right now.
Noon,
Sunny,
right?
nice clear day out here. Beautiful.
And what sort of temperatures have you there?
It's been nice. It's been very nice. 68, 75 Fahrenheit, which would be what, 20-ish Celsius?
Yeah, it's probably about 20, 23, 4, yeah, which is really good weather. When we get that in Ireland, we call it a heat wave.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed. Yes,
I
indeed.
bet.
So come on in, everybody. So today in Ireland, it's sort of a bit grey and drizzly for the middle of summer and rain. That's why we're so green, I guess. And we get a lot of because we get a
That's
lot of
common,
rain.
right?
Go again?
That is that common weather for Ireland?
Yeah, yeah. We don't have any extremes, so we don't get the snow that you guys get and the cold temperatures in winter. So it's rare our temperature is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's rare it goes above sort of 70.
Oh,
So
it's
it
nice.
so if it gets to sort of 68, 75, we're going, this is a heat wave, man. Party time. We're out with our tops off, our
Oh
barbecue.
boy. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. We're rocking at that time. We're rocking. So okay, so let's get the ball rolling. So Alok, just tell people a little bit about you. So you're a photographer first, right?
Photographer, definitely. Um, I would say my journey has been a very frustrated photographer that has tried to figure out why am I not getting sales? Why are these interactions not producing big, ticket 1K, 2K, 3K packages like I see some of these other photographers doing? And my identity has been shaped around this frustration of just like, why am I trying all these tactics? Why am I doing these worksheets and nothing is working? And one day I just said, F it. I'm going to do this my way. And I looked at myself and I asked, like, what do I really want to do? What is it that I want to create? And what does that look like? And as soon as I started thinking like that, then I started noticing shifts. Then I started noticing people were paying attention to me in a different way, not as a kind of cheap commodity to scam some pictures out of for like $50, but they were like, oh, how do I book a shoot with you? Like, um, are you available now? So the respect increased, like the value increased, the interactions changed. So that's been my journey and my experience uncovering what I call the core identity of who I am and, how that translates. What's that in business terms?
Okay, so you're going to share your journey with us as to how you came to that position of people not spending money with you and you couldn't convert a sale to figuring out how you would do that. But a lot of people think that it can be a silver bullet, right? And this thing can happen overnight. But you did something that not a lot of people do, and it's something that not only do you have a system for helping photographers with this, but it's actually been at the core of what I believed as well. Because we met at Photo Pro Expo
Yeah, we did
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That's right. That's right. And we met each other, and I was at your talk, and you were at my talk, and we ended up. I think one of the nights we had a session, and Melanie Anderson
Yeah.
was there, and we were all there, and it was really really good. But
Yeah.
so I just want to deep dive into one of the core beliefs I believe you have, which is you've got to know yourself before you can know your client.
You have to. There is no amount of worksheets, there's no amount of trainings you can take that is going to give you what you do because you are you, right? You are you. And nobody can teach you that. Nobody can say you are a boudoir photographer or a wedding photographer. You have to make that determination on your own. And, you know, what my process was, I had to just sit down in the woods, so to speak, and be by myself and figure that out. But I know a lot of people, they're not going to be able to do that. That's not their style. So, what I teach is the heart method. It's called hearing, empathy, attention and action, releasing past trauma, and then transcending limiting identity. So, with that methodology, we don't look out to the market and say, oh, what's that person do? I want to copy that person. Or like, what's this guy doing that's successful? I'm going to copy this. I think that works for a small percentage of people, but for the majority, right, they just end up stuck on repeat, doing the same things, not getting anywhere. Why is that? It's really mindset. It's that core identity. They are still stuck on that old belief system of I can't charge higher prices. Nobody's going to come to me if I charge this $1,000 or $2,000. It's hard to get high paying clients. It's hard to do this specific style of photography. And when I used the process on myself and eliminated those beliefs and really got focused on what it is that I want and really how I'm going to add not value to like some arbitrary market, but like how am I improving life of myself and others? When I started thinking in this paradigm, how am I going to improve my life? What does that look like? And how is it helping others? I found my position, right? So that's the first thing we're going to talk about today is that silver bullet. If you have to have one thing that's a silver bullet, it's your positioning in the market. And how do you get to that? It's not going to be by reading a bunch of books. You have to know who you are. You have to know your core identity.
So, can we just deep dive into the elements of a core identity? So, social scientists tell us that we're like an onion and you peel away the layers and eventually you get to the core, and at the core is your personality and your core ability. What do you think personality is important to understand what personality type you are on this journey?
It's definitely important to attract your clients, right? If you are, a male, for example, and you love adventure sports and you love jumping out of planes, you're probably not gonna be the best. I'm generalizing here, but you're probably more suited towards action photography. That's just kind of in your blood. That's your personality, right? But that is not your positioning statement. See the difference? Most people get stuck at the personality stage. They say, oh, I want to shoot weddings or I want to shoot everything. I'm a do this or do that type of person. And actually, that's where people get stuck is they think that their personality is their positioning statement. It's not the case. It's very different. Positioning comes from who you are. Who am I at the core level, at the very root, the core center? If you took all the layers of the onion, where did it come from? What's that thing holding everything together, right? That's your core identity, the thing that's holding all of it together. And that's the reason people come to you. They buy you, they buy 3XM, they buy Ronin Rao, they buy Alok Karnik because of you, you know, what is that thing that makes you you? And that's what we identify in in a positioning statement. What is it that makes you you?
So, if we get to that core positioning statement,
Mm-hmm.
what are the essential elements to discover what that is?
Mm.
So, is you've talked before when we've talked about your purpose and your why? Is that a key element that you need to discover in order to create your core positioning statement?
Yes, you definitely need to know your purpose because your purpose is not detached from who you are.
And how do you go about that? How does somebody go about discovering what their why is, as Simon Sinek calls it, or what your purpose is, as Jeff Henderson calls it? Have you a process for helping somebody discover that?
So I can tell you my story. I only know my story because that's how I discovered my why, my core identity. I was coming from a corporate job in a 9 to 5 world, and I was just miserable. Every 3 months, I would say to myself, I gotta quit. And then I'd say, no, no, no. And go back in. 3 months later, I'd be like, no, 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 I gotta quit. This is killing me. Can't do this. I was living in California on the beach, nice paycheck, whatever, but something inside was wanting more. And that I realized was my core identity trying to express itself in its own way. I think I took a very like a small number of people do this, but I actually quit my job. I moved in with my parents and I started doing yoga and meditation for like 6, 8 hours a day, just a crazy amount of yoga. And I discovered this kind of core identity within myself. And when I did that, then things started to fall in place for me. Then I got my business identity. Then I got kind of established. So how I did it, I don't think most people will do it that way, using meditation and yoga. So what I've devised is a method that's a little simpler, that's a little easier. I call it the heart method of just hearing, empathizing, attention and action, releasing the past trauma, and then transcending limited identity. Using that framework, it allows you to start cutting into that center of the onion instead of trying to peel every layer one by one. It's like taking a knife and chopping it in half and saying, oh, that is who I am. That is my core identity.
So,
Um,
so can we deep dive into some of those elements? Are you happy to
yeah,
do that?
sure. Let's start
So,
with hearing, right?
okay.
Hearing and listening. What is the difference between truly hearing and just having words slosh around in your head? What is the difference between truly listening versus gathering information to regurgitate? The difference is hearing and listening truly transform you. They help you get one step closer to your core identity, whereas regurgitating knowledge keeps you spinning in circles. So hearing and listening versus absorb or just gathering knowledge to regurgitate.
So if I realize that I do more hearing than listening, how do I go about training myself to listen more?
That's a good question. I would have to say, you'd have to probably work with me, read a book, try to find that information. Um, do whatever you can to establish yourself in that hearing modality, in that kind of way, right? There's no there's no instruction manual, right? That's something you have to dig deep and find within yourself.
So, do you think then that part of that process, that listening process, is understanding the need to discover your purpose? Because a lot of people I think that I meet, they never actually embark on that journey of
So is
discovering.
part of the hearing process, is it discovering your purpose? Is that I'm not sure I understand.
Yes, I'm asking the question. So I meet a lot of people, and we have this discussion, maybe over a pint of Guinness or something. But we talk about that the people who seem happiest in life have discovered why they're here and what their
Mm.
purpose is and what their why is. So, but a lot of people aren't even aware that it's important to discover that. So, is the listening process essential to one, understand the need to do that, but two, then to turn the mind into a place where it is listening rather than hearing so that you can discover what that purpose is?
Okay, so we have to define what really true hearing means without getting super intellectual. When you're really listening, it's without the intent of hearing something. Your mind is empty. There's nothing in that container, right? If you're listening with the intent of responding, then you're not going to hear. You're not going to absorb that truth that is there. So, hearing and listening intently without intention of responding is the path to, get to that purpose, to understand why you're here. If you have your preconceived notion that, I do this or I do that and this is my purpose, then either you really know your purpose or you're fooling yourself, right? So true hearing and true listening is about just keeping all our ideas aside for that moment and just seeing what's in front of me. Like, who is this person?
Very good. Yeah, no, I've gone through this process myself, and it is interesting as to when I did it. I did have to do exactly what you say. I had to listen, but I had to give myself time to absorb as well, to absorb, what I was hearing, and being aware, I think, to listen for things that would help me to formulate that. I don't know if that makes sense or whether that's the right thing or not, but that's certainly what helped me. So can we go to the next step in the process though? So
Exactly.
what is the next step then?
So empathy, right? Hearing is one aspect, then empathizing. And just maybe we can't hear. Maybe there's too much junk in our trunk. And at that point, we want to start empathizing and just start feeling the other person. Maybe it's something that we can connect with them. Maybe it's a game we played together, or maybe it's a common experience that we've both had. Empathizing and trying to connect. I like your hat. I think it's cool. I have a hat like that. That's a common ground for us to start breaking down our own internal barriers and empathizing and connecting with others, you know? So if we can't get the hearing part right, then we can go to empathizing and trying to connect on some common ground.
So, and that's really interesting. Like, we had a Business Success Academy meeting today, and we were literally talking about empathy. I mean, I didn't know you were going to talk about this tonight, but as a particular element. But one of the things that we remarked on is that a lot of photography is sold on emotion, and yet many photographers we meet don't understand empathy and don't connect that need to have empathy in order to connect the client with what we actually do as photographers and as an industry. Is that am I connecting those two dots correctly, or am I wrong on that?
No, no, no. I don't think there's such things wrong, but we're constantly discovering, right? But the point of this conversation in today's live is, why is it that your products aren't selling? What is it about your positioning that's not working? And empathy is a big part of that positioning, because if you have nothing to connect on, then what are the people going to buy? How are they going to be transformed or moved or pay those high dollars for your photography, your work, if there's nothing to connect on, right? Very few people just want to buy an empty black picture with nothing in it. So empathy is that subject matter that we connect with. And the better we become at connecting on a common ground, the more we can charge and the more our position in the market becomes strong.
And one of the keys to empathy, would you say it's changing our mindset? If we use a Donald Miller type analogy, that your client is the hero and you're the guide, would that help me be show more empathy and to be focused on my client rather than myself?
So does mindset play a part in empathy and taking a approach of Donald Miller style? So you're the guide and the client is the hero. Is that going to help increase empathy?
Yes.
Um, my kind of view on this is there's no like leader and there's no like subservient, right? Um, I don't believe in like client and coach or client and photographer. I believe in co-creators. You each have a unique set of skills, a set of expertise and energy, abilities, and knowledge, right? And when you harness those together and create a container for that to express itself, then you've got like beautiful photography. Then you've got like world-class level images. So the mindset of, you could say if it's a mindset related thing that you want to work on, then remove the idea that I'm better than you. Removing that one idea is going to help transform your photography so many levels. If you see your client just the same as, your partner in life or any, business partner or on the same level as you, then the ability for you to connect with them and empathize is going to multiply significantly, significantly.
Okay. So, because my personality type, I'm an INTP, and I'm a very strong NT. And Myers-Briggs says that NTs, strong NTs, they actually aren't good at the empathy piece, that it doesn't come natural like that it comes to an SF. But so I had to work hard at that, over the years to try and change to be more empathetic, I guess. But it is something you can learn, right? And this is part of your framework that you help people to be more empathetic.
Well, I think we've misdefined empathy as all emotion. It's really not about emotion, it's about connection. If we can connect on a common ground, on a common position, then our empathy increases. We don't have to be, this stereotypical figure of, they say women have more empathy or something like that. It's not this like gushing, crying lady. Empathy just means that you're here, you're connected. And that can look different for many people, even men and women. There's some men that are more emotional, there's some men that are more logical in thinking, there's some women that are more logical in thinking. So connection is empathy. It's not about emotion.
Okay, so it's about finding a common ground with who you're dealing with. Like you connected with my cap and gave me a compliment that I love your cap. I have one like it.
Yes.
So it's listening and seeing that common ground that I might have to open a conversation, but make it about the person I'm trying to connect with.
It's like so obvious, right? It's hard to teach it because it's so obvious. What is something that, you just see something about someone and you're like, oh, I like your hat, or, I like your eyes, or I like your shirt, or, like, oh, cool, I have that same microphone. It's just the most obvious thing that most people are scared to say it, right? It's just so vulnerable that you're like, oh, I shouldn't say that. So then you're like, no, no, no. And then it becomes awkward. And then you lose that connection. Instead, it's the most obvious thing in front of you. If you can identify that and then create connection around that, then it becomes easy, right?
Okay. So let's move on to the next step. So I'm listening and hearing, and you've helped me to be better at the empathy piece and to
Yeah.
connect with people. What's the next piece?
Okay. Attention and action. So what I've seen is when someone is really serious about starting their business, they want to get those premium clients. They're like all about action. They're like, I'm fired up. Let's do this. And that lasts about 1 week. They take massive action and it lasts about 1 week, 2 weeks if you're lucky. Very, very small percentage of people are successful because they're not able to take that consistent action every single day. But why? Why is that? Why is consistent action so hard? Well, it's simply you're not paying enough attention. So the third piece is attention and action. Because if I just put a blindfold on and I go driving down the street or trying to cross a road, I'm going to get hit. Naturally, I'm going to get hit and it's going to be painful. And when it's painful, I'm not going to want to cross that sidewalk, that street, that crosswalk, that bridge, whatever. When I pay
Okay.
attention,
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, I got kind of lost in my head. See, lack of attention right there.
Yeah.
Perfect example. When you lose attention, you lose connection. When you lose connection, you're random. When you're random, you're more likely to get hit.
Okay.
When you get
So,
hit,
so I think what you're saying to us is that you need to have a process to make sure your attention stays long enough, um, so that has this got anything to do with the process of habit forming?
well, actually, attention is about breaking habits, old habits.
Okay. And is it about forming new habits? I know some of the people say like it can take, I can't remember now the number, but 21 days to break a habit and make a habit. You know, those old sayings. Is attention part of that process of, you know, stop running around like a headless chicken, take some time, listen, connect with your clients through empathy, so you can discover who that ideal client is, so you can position your brand properly, and then, you know, being focused, your attention, because you can only do certain, we all have 24 hours in the day, but some people seem to get more done in that 24 hours than others. And some people get nowhere and do run around like headless chickens all the time. So is the attention piece about bringing some structure to how, some structure to your focus and how you go about it, or am I completely on the wrong track?
No, so what is attention? Attention is so innate to who we are that you can't really describe it in terms of anything because there is no thing that, attention is not a thing. It's more a quality.
Okay.
Developing that quality of attention.
Okay. Okay. So it's something we need to do in order to be able to position ourselves properly. And we've got to sort of, a lot of what we've talked about is mindset, isn't it? It's about framing the mind to focus on the correct things that will help you figure out this positioning.
Mindset's a very big part of it. So maybe an easier way to think is what distracts you, right? Let's look at that. If
Okay.
I'm worried about my dog, if my dog is sick and I just want to take him to the clinic and I'm trying to, do my organic marketing, it's not going to work. I'm going to be distracted. I'm going to be constantly thinking about my dog. It's hard to pay attention to what's in front of you when your mind is constantly.
Okay. So before we go on to the next part, can we, if anyone has any questions or queries, just ask them away in the Q&A or the chat. We'd
Yeah,
love to get your questions that I can give to Alok. So Alok, so we've done the listening hearing piece. We've talked about that. We've talked about the empathy piece. We've talked about the attention piece. What's the next piece of your framework as to how you help people position themselves correctly in the market?
perfect. So releasing trauma, right? And this ties into attention. that's a hard one to really talk about. But releasing past trauma allows us to actually pay better attention and take better action. When we let go of that painful memory of the dog, you know, if we let go of that painful memory of our cat, if we let go of the painful memory of a client that rejected us, if we let go of the painful memory of not having enough money to buy something that we want, if we let go of the painful memory of any experience that is holding us back, right, then we are able to pay that attention and take that action in the right direction. So the thing that's actually limiting you from the hearing, the empathy, and the action and the attention is the past. It's your past beliefs, your past trauma, those old habits, the fear mindset, the lack mindset, the thinking that, oh, I can't do this because that, I can't go on this trip because I don't have enough money. I can't do fill in the blank is, yeah.
So what you're saying is it's not the fear of future failure necessarily, it's the fear of failure because you failed before. And I think, excuse me, excuse me. I
Sure.
think I can identify with that because in 2009, I had a business with 45 people working in it, and the business failed and it went bust, and all those people lost their jobs. And it was a really tough time. And I'd say I was in depression for 2 years after that. And definitely that fear of that failure for those couple of years did hold me back. They prevented me from snapping out of my depression and just getting on the horse again and going again. So I can absolutely, I feel that, it's certainly, I understand that, and how that can, any failure, no matter what size it is, and that happened to be a pretty big one, can hold us back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could think about it as when you're riding a horse, the horse is under your control. You're having a great time. It's efficient. You get places faster. You have fun. But if the horse gets spooked, right? The horse is your mind. The mind gets spooked. It'll run in any direction and it's hard to get it under control. That's the past. That's fear, right? That is fear coming up, grabbing you and just throwing your mind everywhere.
Right.
So when we release that, when we become the masters of this crazy horse and get that craziness under control, we have the tools to do that. Then, even if we've had a traumatic past experience, it's not going to limit our future success. It's not going to, come up in conversation. It's not going to impede our ability to get what we want and create in this life. Because now we know what to do about it. Now we know how to take control of that crazy horse.
Okay. Okay. So what's the next step in the formula of discovering who I am so I can position myself in the right way?
Yeah, so T is transcending limited identity. So this really comes down to, who you are right now. Who am I right now? If we take an inventory of that and we say, I'm Ronan Ryle. I have a six-figure business. I've got a seven-figure business, and I do this. I make paper products, and so that is actually a limited identity because we are capping ourselves at this number. Maybe it's like I'm a everything photographer, and I only charge 250 for a photo shoot. In that limited identity, then we cap our future growth. In saying that, in keeping our mind locked into one level, we're actually limiting future growth. We're limiting our potential. So transcending limited identity is all about destroying actually who you see yourself as. And it becomes about asking yourself, who am I? Who am I right now without the baggage of a limited belief set, without the baggage of a limited habit set, without the baggage of a limited set of identity. So when we start to like blow those up, then a new possibility can emerge.
Okay. So we've gone through the heart formula now. And Terry is asking, how do we once we've gone through that process, then how does that actually help us to position ourselves better and connect with our ideal client or whoever that is? How do we actually make that work for us? I think Terry calls it, this is great to get down to the real blocks. So how can we actually use that then to position ourselves in the market and attract that higher paying client?
That's a good question. And it's not something I've thought about because it's kind of going backwards. It's putting the cart before the horse, right? You want to first identify who you are. You want to first identify your position. But why is it that we're not doing this? Why isn't everybody finding their ideal client? Why isn't everybody finding their position in the market? It's not that there's a secret formula to it. It's actually very easy if you can see it. The reason is the mindset is, the current mindset is blocking you from actually seeing this opportunity. It's not like it's not there. It's not like you need a secret key to open up the positioning door and like see your position. It's wide open. It's right in front of you. So the heart method is actually about uncovering the limiting factors, the mindset, the energy, the limiting beliefs, habits. It's designed to remove those so that it's glaringly obvious to you what your position is. So it's not about using the heart method to find your position because it's there. It's not like the heart method is going to give you your position. No, the heart method is designed to remove the obstacles of you just seeing your own position in the market. So I think that makes more sense.
Okay. And I think Terry says that makes more sense to her as well. Thank you for that feedback, Terry. So what else then do I need to do, Alok, to go through and I know you say it's not a process, but I'm a process driven guy, right?
Sure, sure.
And I always try and break everything down into a framework, and your heart is a framework, right? But I understand that it's more than that, that it's, and I think I understand all the elements to it. But what I'm trying to do, being that logical person that I am, I'm trying to figure out. So if I go down that path and I work with you on the heart method and I work through that, what's next?
Then you get to have a lot of fun because now you are making money, you're attracting the right clients, you are charging, like 3, 4, 5, 6K for your project. You're in a flow state now. Now you're just attracting the right people. You don't really have to reach out. You're not wasting energy. You're living your life now. Now things get fun.
Okay, so I want to explore this concept of flow, right? Because a lot of people talk about this. I'm a Roger Federer fan, and Roger wins a
So
match and he comes off court and somebody says, "How did you win that?" He actually doesn't know because he's in flow. He's just doing it without realizing what he's doing. Is that what you mean?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. It's the thing. See, the heart method is not going to get you what you want because you already have what you want. The heart method is just simply removing all the obstacles that are in your way from keeping you from seeing your own true self, realizing your own positioning, realizing your innate gifts. It's just a tool to remove those. And you've already got all the secret sauce. You're just keeping it all bottled up. It's like a can opener.
So, so I see this quite a lot, and I've done it in the past myself. That's why I can see it. Is
Mm-hmm.
that when we adopt a mindset for certain things? So you talked about if I adopt a mindset that I cannot sell what I do as a photographer for more than 250 or 500, wherever that is, and I can't add a zero to that,
Mm-hmm.
that we often then get reinforcement by finding other people who are in the same position, and they tell us, oh yeah, I can't get, you can't, there's no way I get 250 as well, and you can't get beyond that we look for other people to reinforce our closed mindset. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think Facebook groups are like one of the best ways to reinforce that mindset. You can reinforce that mindset that, oh, you can't charge $2,000 for, a 1 hour photo shoot. You can reinforce any mindset you want. If you can always find the Billy Joel song or Elton John song, it's about the piano man. You're finding company in that sad state. You can always go find that. Just go down to a local bar and find some sad people. You can also find like really happy, motivated people that are in flow state. So it's up to
So,
you.
so how important to our success is our network?
I'd say it's very important. I would say for most people, for 99.999% of people, actually 100% of people, your network is the thing that keeps you stuck, or it's a thing that keeps you leveling up, 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 up. But where does your network come from? It's not from your circumstances. It's actually from you. It's your own mindset. It's who you choose to make time. Like you're on this, whoever is watching this replay is actually spending the time up leveling their mindset instead of going and doing the same thing that's keeping them, held down. It's actually you. You are your network.
So as a coach then, and a mentor yourself, um, how important is a coach and a mentor to this process?
I'd say it's very important. Um, I have been coached myself. It's helped me tremendously. I've had a guru to change my life. And I wouldn't have been able to, transform without that guiding light, whether it was through books, whether it was through a YouTube, whether it was through like a video like this. It doesn't always have to be physical, you know. You don't always have to pay for somebody. You can get a lot of this great life-changing stuff for free. It's not like you have to like pay a coach. I think the time to pay a coach is when you really know you're in a position to take advantage of all the tools they're offering and you can get an ROI on it. I think that's the time you hire a coach. But if you're just looking to improve your mindset, it's available. You just have to look for it and change that frame, that lens of, oh, I just want to scroll around on Instagram, or I just want to go, shoot whatever. I just want to go have fun. When that shifts, when that changes, and you're like, I want to change my life, you'll start to see things differently.
Okay, so in my own experience, I've always felt that it's a progress is a bit like a stool. We've got to have the knowledge and the training, which the coach helps with, and then the mentorship starts to develop out into accountability. How important do you think accountability is to keep that stool balanced and help me get to where I need to get to?
I would say actually accountability and support is the most important thing that your coach is going to give you. anybody can get knowledge. It's not like knowledge is hard to get nowadays. It's not like it used to be before the internet. So really the function of a coach I see now is to make sure that they're seeing gaps in your thinking, they're keeping you accountable, they're giving you that support, right? That's the most important thing. And, my style is not about, giving you like a worksheet and saying, do this, do this, do this. I don't think that serves anybody nowadays. There's enough strategies, there's enough content out there where you can learn what you like. Really, it's about identifying gaps in your knowledge, seeing where you're going off the rails, giving you that support, that attention, that motivation, and connecting with you to co-create what it is that you want in your business and life. And I am just a facilitator to that. I use my skills, my energy, my attention to facilitate that change. I'm not giving you anything.
Very good. If anyone has any more questions, please put them into the chat, because I think we're nearly at the end of this webinar. But Alok, if people want to connect with you and they believe that you are the right coach or mentor to help them make sure their stool has 3 legs to it and they're properly balanced for success, how do they go about making contact with you?
Yeah, the best way would be add me as a friend on Facebook, shoot me a direct message, and we can set up a time to jump on a one-on-one Zoom chat.
And you've shared a link too, I think, haven't you, in the chat there at the top, which is a Calendly link to connect with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll also share that underneath the Facebook recording. So if people want to find you via that piece. So Alok, before we finish, if there was one piece of last advice you would give people who want to get started with this process and want to get their positioning right, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a really good one. It just really depends on the individual. See, that's the thing. I can't give a blanket statement.
So there's
really
no one peg fits all, right?
There is no, it's kind of like, it's so obvious. It's right there in front of you. It's really that removing everything that is holding you back is really the key. But the key is there is nothing holding you back. It's kind of like a paradox. So if you see that, you're already there. Then you don't need any of this. So.
Very good. Well, Alok, I have no more questions coming in there. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you, Ronan. I appreciate your time and having me here.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who will be making connection with you and exploring this a bit further. So thank you so much. And we'll see you guys in the think tank again on Thursday, where we have Whitney and David Scott joining us, and where we're going to talk about sales. So we've had a lot of marketing on the think tank. We've had a lot of what we've discussed tonight, about understanding yourself and adopting that right mindset. So we're going to go into the sales room on Thursday. So hopefully you can join us for that.
That'll be great.
So good night, everybody. Sorry for the cough. Good night, everybody. Stay healthy, stay safe, and good morning, good night, good afternoon. Bye for now.
See you.